300,000 people lived in the diverse environments of California. They spoke 80 languages, worked, worshipped, and raised children on lands occupied by their ancestors since before the dawn of European civilization. Many California nations had evolved into highly structured societies. Among them, one of the largest was the Chumash, living on the coastal islands and along the coast in the area of present-day Santa Barbara. Large Chumash towns supported a professional class of astrologers, priests, government leaders, and healers. Workers belonged to centuries-old craft guilds of basket and canoe makers. Workers also manufactured the flat shell beads that were the currency of the region. Production and control of the money supply placed the Chumash nation at the center of the Southern California economy. In the late 18th century, this complex world of the ancient Chumash and their coastal neighbors would be changed forever. In 1772, Spanish missionaries, led by Father Junipero Serra, arrived in Chumash territory.
Believe me, when I saw their general behavior, their pleasing ways and engaging manners, my heart was broken to think that they were still deprived of the light of the Holy Gospel. Father Junipero Serra, Spanish missionary.
Ignoring the beauty and complexity of Chumash society, the Spanish set out to convert them to Christianity by whatever means necessary.
I and two of my relatives went down to the beach to catch clams. We saw two men on horseback coming rapidly towards us. My relatives were afraid, and they fled with all speed. It was too late. They overtook me and lassoed and dragged me for a long distance, their horses running. When we arrived at the mission, they locked me in a room for a week. The father told me that he would make me a Christian. One day they threw water on my head and gave me salt to eat. And with this, the interpreter told me that now I was Christian, and that I was called Jesus.
The building up of the mission into a coercive labor force didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual thing, but eventually they began forcing Indians to remove from their free way of life in their home villages and to be reduced to one central mission site to be controlled. Once a family was taken in to the missions, the missionaries separated children from their parents. All the little boys and the little girls at the age of 6 were locked up in children's barracks. So it was work, religion, and work all day long. Highly structured, highly supervised.
Indian people were put to work tanning, blacksmithing, and caring for the mission herds. They made candles, bricks, tiles, shoes, saddles, and soap. Labor was strictly enforced under the discipline of the lash.
And thus I existed, till I found a way to escape. But I was tracked, and they caught me like a fox. They lashed me until I lost consciousness. For several days I could not raise myself from the floor where they had laid me. And I still have on my shoulders the marks of the lashes. Hanitil kumiyai.
For over 50 years, the mission system, backed by Spanish arms, exerted control over the California coast crushing every revolt. Inside the missions, disease and harsh living conditions contributed to a genocidal death rate.
The average life of a mission Indian was about less than 12 years. For children, it was less than 6 years. And so there was a constant need to feed this beast with laborers. And one of the sad legacies of the missions of California is that when people go to them today, they don't even think about Indians. They say the Padres built the missions. That's nonsense. The California Indians built the missions.
At the Santa Barbara mission alone, over 4,000 Chumash names filled the burial registry. Their bodies discarded in large pits near the church. In 1821, control of California transferred to Mexico after it gained its independence from Spain. The Mexican government secularized the missions. Indian people were free to leave. But 50 years had completely transformed their world. Old villages were gone. In their places were large Mexican estates. Even the mission lands they had worked and lived on became parts of vast private ranches.
To stand by and watch these men take over the missions which we have built, the herds we have tended, to be exposed incessantly together with our families to the worst possible treatment and even death itself is a tragedy. Mission San Luis Rey, neophyte.
Homeless and left with few choices for survival, mission Indians were forced to exchange one master for another, becoming peasant workers on the rancherias.
Many of the rich men of the country had from 20 to 60 Indian servants whom they dressed and fed. Our friendly Indians tilled our soil, pastured our cattle, cut our lumber, built our houses, made tiles for our homes, ground our grain, slaughtered our cattle, dressed their hides for market. While the Indian women made excellent servants, took good care of our children, made every one of our meals. Salvador Vallejo, Mexican landowner.